If you're just getting into long-range hunting or you're looking to increase your skills as a marksman, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Extreme Outer Limits podcast.
Thanks for joining us right here on the Extreme Outer Limits podcast. For this episode, we're going to change it up a little bit. Kind of our format was laid out that we were going to do a bi-weekly podcast with myself and Kelly McMillan all around long-range hunting and the long-range or extended long-range shooting. What we decided would be engaging is to go ahead and do filler podcasts in between, basically all generated around the hunting operation and upcoming hunts and things like that. So take this minute here and introduce Calvin Halladay. He's on the Extreme Outer Limits and MOA rifle team. Some of you guys know Calvin probably from his social media. He's guided some really big stuff. So he's kind of got a name all on his own. So Calvin, why don't you bring us in on this?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I guess if I go to my background, I'm an Oregon guy, born and raised, still pretty young. I just turned 27 a couple weeks ago. Started hunting young like everybody else and eventually got into guiding and now outfitting, and now I hunt all over the country with Bob because he drags me around. So,
yeah, well, that kind of brings us to this deal, right? So let's kind of go through. I mean, you and I know the story like we ate it for breakfast, but let's kind of bring everybody up to speed how we started on this path, right? And I think I'll jump in by saying It really came in on a premium tag that I drew in 2015, which was actually prior to meeting you.
Yes.
But that's really what started this quest rolling downhill.
Yeah. I remember knowing that you had drawn a tag and you were filming a show up there in Northeast Oregon, right in my backyard. I live in La Grande. And knowing that you had the tag and what was going on and kind of following along with your hunt and seeing how you did. So
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. Like we were talking about it earlier before we went on air here. You know, as a hunter, you get different goals or different ambitions, or I don't know, sometimes you just get going down a crazy path for nothing more than just going down a crazy path. And for years I'd been on this mule deer kick. And then when I drew one of the big three in Oregon for elk, it just triggered something that has now just, it's like a, you know, huge snowball going downhill towards elk.
It's a sickness, yeah, it is. I think as a hunter, what it is just the challenge. It just, you know, you're hunting mule deer is a different challenge than hunting an elk. I wouldn't say one's harder than the other or anything like that. It's just a different experience all in itself.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so 2015 comes, get a tag in hand, and, you know, the one downfall I would say to this lifestyle, or at least the format of our lifestyle, is our limited time to hunt certain hunts, or I say certain species or certain hunts. And I know that sounds kind of convoluted, but sure, we hunt X number of months per year.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is when you get the TV side of it playing in there and you have to produce 26 shows a year, when you really break it out, it only allows, you know, maybe 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. Like a 10-day hunt would be an amazingly amount of time.
Yep.
You know, because you just can't get all the other stuff done.
Yeah, I struggle with that myself now, living in this world of outdoor television, and because previously it was like one hunt a year, you know, and I could dedicate 3 months straight to scouting for that hunt and doing you know, and I hate going into a hunt and feeling like I'm unprepared. So now, you know, it's kind of like this ball that starts rolling in springtime and in summertime, and you know it's coming, and you focus on scouting when you can scout. But the bottom line is kind of when the end of August hits, that snowball starts going downhill, and we're pretty much hunting from the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this year, well, you know, into January. Yep. So it's one hunt to one hunt to one hunt to one hunt. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's a fantastic thing to do, to turn your you know, your passion into a lifestyle for darn sure. But it is challenging because you want to feel like you're committing all the time that hunt is worth. And a lot of these hunts we go on are to most guys, including myself a few short years ago, it's like that would be the one thing I'd be so focused on all year, is getting ready for that hunt. So,
I think when I look back to that 2015 hunt, part of the spark and the end result of where we're going to go with this podcast was generated from the potential of that hunt, but the tight schedule I had. Now, granted, I killed a really nice bull, but I left that hunt with a massive amount of what if.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, in that unit, there was the new state record bull was killed in that unit,
almost a week after I left.
Yeah, almost 430 inches. And ironically enough, that bull was killed one ridge over from the ridge that you killed your bull on.
I know.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that a bull like that can exist. And I've been on a number of awesome hunts over there as well, and in all those big Northeast units. And what exists and comes out of the timber sometimes will freak you out. But you just never know it's going to show up. So
yeah, it was an eye opener for me because, like I said, man, I was eat, sleeping, and breathing mule deer, and I'd kind of made a comment prior to that, like, I'm just doing elk hunts because I need to, stay connected to that community, and produce some quality television. But I was getting through my elk hunts to get on to my mule deer hunts, and then we get onto this deal, and I only had 5, 6, 7 days to hunt. I had to be on another location for another hunt, and then, like you said, boom, 430 bull gets killed after I leave, and then you got to let that sit on your conscience for, a few months, and you're just like, this is not happening. Like, I need another chance.
Yeah. And that year was in Oregon. I mean, a 430-inch non-typical got killed. Another big 404 typical was killed. I took a buddy, and we killed a 380-plus typical.
Yep.
It was just a banner year for Oregon elk. So it kind of sparked the fire, I think, with you and I, as far as what the potential is for having that opportunity. But the thing was, you burn 16 preference points for that hunt.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't want to wait 16 more years to go do this again.
Exactly.
So.
Well, that kind of brings us to the following year, right? So some stuff, you just kind of keep to yourself, whatever. But I think, like I've had people tell me, not everybody knows my story, right? I'd like to think I'm just an average guy doing average things. And we've been fortunate now that we have several businesses, and now you're on board, and we've got some other key players on board. And I don't elevate my lifestyle to live some lavish way that is not me, right? So you fast forward the clock and saying that, and it happened to be in 2016 was my 40th birthday as well. And so I said to Chris, if I can afford it, I'm going to treat myself to a premium tag from an auction, which in turn ended up being Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet.
Yep.
And that's kind of where your path and my path started to cross right there, right? Because
yep.
I'd already been, hook, line, and sinker, man. It was already in there. And now I'm like, all right, we got to go for round 2, Oregon elk.
For sure. I grew up, and was brought up through the ranks by some outfitters and guides and just well-known guys in the Oregon elk game. And I was always in the know of, who kind of had the auction tags or the raffle tags or drew these premium tags. And it was always good to know who had the tags. But I did hear that you drew a tag, and I said, I just knew, putting 2 and 2 together, I go, he wanted another shot at whatever happened last year, a little vengeance coming back. So
yeah, I
was all about it. And then I think if I remember correctly, you just reached out and messaged me or gave me a phone call or something. And at the time, I was in this really weird place where it was like, every year I kind of hunted with a friend or two that had a tag, and we were, blessed to be pretty successful generally and kill good bulls and things like that. But I hadn't decided if I was going to turn to guiding professionally or outfitting or what I wanted to do. And with the Oregon guiding permit system, what I hated was that if I was going to guide, say in the Mount Emily unit, it kind of keyhold me or pinhold me into that unit for hunting elk only. And I have big passions for sheep and mountain goats and big deer and all sorts of things. So I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I just kind of wanted to hunt with who I wanted to hunt with when I wanted to hunt with them. Mm-hmm. So you reached out to me, and I think the first time I was kind of like, oh yeah, hey, congratulations on the tag, maybe I can point you in the right direction kind of thing. But you were pretty persistent, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, let's build on a little more, right? So you got all these guiding rules and regulations and all this stuff, so you kind of got to navigate through that, because you get into this hunt game where you're starting to kill above average animals, and then you always got the eyes on you, and everybody's trying to figure out.
It's extremely cutthroat.
Yeah.
And outfitters think you're not acting legally and you're taking money on the side and you're doing this, because outfitters got to pay for stock and insurance and for that permit in that particular area, and like I said over and over again, when people would talk to me about it, I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just taking who I want to hunt with every year, and we're just happening to kill above average animals.
Yeah,
every time.
You're just
so
going.
That's why it was so much in the public eye.
Yeah. Yep. No, I get it, because I wanted to make sure everything was, on the up and up when we got together. And the cool thing is like you said, you were in this funny place, and you're like, you know what, let's just go do this hunt and have fun. And that's what we did, right? I mean, we kind of navigated through that year and did a little scouting and did a little planning, a little prep, and then when it was go time, we just made it go time every single day, day in and day out.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were going to come over and drive 5 hours over to my house to come meet me, and I kind of laughed you off at first, so then you said, no, like, seriously, I'm coming. And so you came over and put me on the hot seat for about 6 straight hours, and like, why is everybody saying I need to talk to you about this?
That's
It
right.
was like this. Why is this 25-year-old kid, why is everybody saying I need to speak with you about this hunt? So who would have known today that it has turned into what it has? But it's kind of funny to think back.
Yeah,
even a couple of years ago. But yeah, then we went on a spring bear hunt together, had a good time, and then the elk hunt started, and it was a tough year. It was really tough.
I didn't know what to expect. By now, by the time this podcast comes out, that 15 and 16 hunts will have actually aired, and that's another little thing. TV is in lag, right? So it's nice to have this coming out now, because that content will actually be there. But if we do a hunt today, for example, that may never hit television for 9 to 12 months. So for everybody that's listening to this podcast, but now that it's all out on the table and that the content is there, when we got into that hunt, I didn't necessarily know what to expect. I know what I had experienced the year before.
Yeah. Yep.
So I kind of had an idea, okay, well, here's what I can tell you from what we observed. But your approach was a bit more methodical, and it's based on the fact that, you've lived there for a long time. You've seen these trends. You've seen how season progression, season meaning like weather, going from fall to winter transition, that kind of thing. So we definitely played the game different.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I've mentioned this before, but a lot of guys think that you have a tag like that, which allows you to hunt from September 1st to November 31st with any weapon in the state, any unit in the state, and everybody automatically assumes we're going to go hunt in the rut with a rifle and go do that. Which is, it's fun. Don't get me wrong; it's a great time, and I always tell guys, hey, if you have the time, like, go do it. It's super fun. But if you're real serious about killing a pretty big bull, it's really hard, because I tell you, a 340 bull looks really big when he's screaming in your face and running in,
Oh, yeah. 10 yards just screaming and pissing.
And you had very specific goals that you wanted to do better than you had done the previous year, and you set the bar pretty high the year before. And so we were really looking for a special kind of bull on your hunt. And I kind of prefer to hunt the later season, real post-rut, after all the other hunters are out of the woods. So you're hunting bulls that aren't real pressured or anything like that. And unfortunately, what happened is we started hunting around the middle of November, and there was no weather yet at all.
Yeah.
It was mild temperatures, no snow in the high country, just nothing going on. So the real elk migration out of the high timber ground had not even began yet.
No, they didn't even really have an urge.
Yeah, and so then we are just praying for snow, because, we were flying in an airplane looking around, and we could see bulls in the timber ground at, 7,000 plus feet still. And those are hard bulls to hunt. It's hard to get those bulls hunted. And then all of our prayers were answered in like a 48-hour period. We got 3 feet of snow. And it was pretty amazing. I remember one particular spot we went and looked. The day before when we went and looked there, I think we saw 10 or 15 elk in two little groups, and then we went out there 2 days later after all this snowfall, and you could see, no exaggeration, thousands of head of elk moving from up country to down country, and that really triggered the late season migration. So
it did. I'd be lying if I said anything different, but when that snow came, right, it came in so quick and so violent. I remember we actually had to leave that day during the daylight hours.
Yeah, we lost 2 or 3 days of the hunt just because we got fogged out, and then when the weather finally broke and we were so excited to get out, I couldn't even get my pickup up into a lot of the country we'd been hunting because the snow got so deep so quickly.
I remember when we were coming down in the snow, I literally have never had a panic attack in my entire life.
I remember that.
But I was about as close to what I would consider like, I need to take some deep breaths and I need to think about something else because I am freaking out right now that we are driving down the mountain at 1:30 in the middle of the day.
Yeah, because you just want to push so hard and push so
That's
hard,
right.
And that's kind of the risk you take when you push your hunt towards the end of your allotted season, If the weather doesn't work for you, it's tough. And in a lot of these units, Mount Emily, Walla Walla, Winaha, before they made these unit date changes, sometimes those hunters waited 10 or 15 years plus, 20 years plus to hunt a 5-day season.
Oof.
And if that weather happened to hit during that time, gosh, you feel horrible for those guys because we're really susceptible to fog in the Blues Mountains in Oregon. And you can sit there and try and glass all you want, and you're not going to see more than 100 yards, So it's mentally taxing, defeating. You want to work so hard, but if you can't see what you're trying to hunt, it's pretty hard to hunt. So.
Yeah. And that's where we were that day. I remember, we just all had to look at each other and said, well, aside from the wind, aside from the snow, we can't see anything.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here?
Yep.
And anyway, long story short, I guess we worked through it. We navigated through it. We got to, like you said, a few days had gone by, got visibility back. We're able to finally start traveling around again and, get towards the latter part of the hunt and then got back in some of that ground that we knew had some bulls in it. We actually had at the time, we didn't know if it was our number one, but it ended up being kind of our number two.
Yeah, that's 7x9.
Yeah.
Non-typical bull.
And then we got onto the bull that I ended up shooting, which was great. That was quite an experience. And, that it's hard because with the goals, you tend to get numbers oriented around goals.
For sure.
And this bull didn't make the number. Like, it didn't make the magic 400 number, right? Which 400 number in Oregon is crazy to say anyway.
Yeah.
But that was the goal. It's like how, what kind of time and effort and dedication and resources would it take to kill a 400-inch bull in our home state? Well, it's about like needle in a haystack, obviously. But the bull that we did kill was about as mature a bull as we could have ever hoped for.
For sure. And I'm pretty confident in saying that the bull you killed was the best bull that we saw over, hunting 2+ weeks straight on the hunt. It was a difficult year, and I think what didn't help us either is that Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife had changed the season dates that particular year. That 5-day big bull hunt that we have spoke about was now expanded, and the bull hunt lasts from all of first season, the 5-day gap that was normally in between first and second rifle season, and then through second season as well. So rifle hunters in Oregon now in these big 3 units are hunting these bulls for 17 to 19 straight days with a rifle. Mm-hmm. So what the amount of bulls that were put down during that rifle season was pretty substantial last year, more than I've ever seen on previous years. So
yeah,
that wasn't helping our case.
That wasn't helping my mental state either.
Yeah, it was driving you nuts. We're both pretty tuned into what I'll call the Oregon elk game, and every day we're getting pictures during rifle season. We're on a different hunt actually at the time. I was hunting in Idaho, and you were on a different hunt.
Colorado.
Every day I'm getting a photo of a nice big bull that got killed, and I'm going, oh my gosh, those guys are just stacking them up. So
yeah, they were just hammers hitting the ground.
Yeah, it was a very, very successful. And when Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife published the harvest reports, it was really obvious when you saw. You're like, holy cow! Those season dates made a big change in those units.
Oh, no doubt. And that's something that as we get through this podcast, we're going to have to circle back to, because
completely, yeah.
Where we're going here is we're building on an all elk year and an all elk series, and all related around premium tags and premium hunts and premium outfitters and everything it takes. And so with that said, we intend on doing this again.
Yeah. So
I still haven't got enough punishment.
Much like 15 going into 16, now 16 going into 17, your spark grew even brighter, and you just had to get after it again. So
we're back in the driver's seat.
We went back and forth on the Oregon tag a couple times, like, what do you think? We got a pretty full schedule. And then when you told me, I'm going to go to that Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet, you might as well have just said, I'm going to come home with a tag, because I knew what was going on. And but I'm always up for the challenge. Love the opportunity to hunt bulls in Oregon, and you never know. We have phenomenal genetics. We have all of the things to make big giant bulls. It's not Arizona, but it's its own monster here. So you never know what we can turn up, and we've got a couple real good potential bulls. Hopefully this year we can dig up, and we'll just go from there. We'll do our best.
Let's do this. Let's talk about. Let's kind of segue from here to the hunts that are actually lined up, and then once we get through those, that'll give everybody kind of a hinging point in this conversation.
Yeah.
Once we get through those, let's circle back to a little bit of that preparation time. Let's go back to the smoke and mirrors, the scouting, the shed hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into that debacle, but let's get there after we talk about the hunt. So basically what we're trying to achieve here is we're trying to achieve who knows if it's been done before, but for the sake of the television portion of the company, we want to get a season, so a season would be 13 episodes, of premium elk hunts. There might be some intrinsic value beyond that season on TV. We might be able to do DVDs. We might be able to do other things with that kind of content.
Yep.
Now, there's lots of great outfitters out there that are involved in premium elk hunts every year, but they're on the one-off occasion, this client or that client. We're talking about trying to stack a roster that is just a total knockdown drag out.
Yeah, instead of focusing on an outfitting business in one particular area, we're kind of more focused on, this Extreme Outer Limits team, including, yourself and Chris and all of our cameramen and television show producers and, heck, the guys even in the building rifles in the rifle shop, as well as myself and some sales guys, and taking this team all around the country and giving our best shot at putting some real big bulls on the ground on some really good premium opportunity tags. So.
Yeah, it's very much oriented all around elk. So here's where we sit. We sit with a reservation tag. Going to kind of hold back a little bit of where I'm going just yet because of the timing of this.
Yeah.
But it is a Indian reservation tag. It's a res wide tag, and it runs from September 1 through January 15. Now, that could potentially be the first, just because of the information that we're receiving already.
For sure. So, the team on that hunt is already scouting big time and looking. They have some good potential bulls. It's a tough one to schedule with our other hunts, though. It's kind of the floating hunt, because other hunts have a more regulated season to where they are, but this hunt is open potentially for 4 months or so.
Yeah.
So we could decide to go down and hunt early, or we can go hunt late if we want to, and the potential of that tag is astronomical. You never know. It's very migratory driven in the late season. In the early season, it's very differentiated by the particular antler growth that year, weather conditions during the spring, but things are looking really good. So,
well, yeah, that's one thing to touch on. The amount of moisture this year during, not just the amount of moisture, but the amount of moisture during the critical antler growth time has been phenomenal. in those southern states this year.
And a lot of the big hunters in the southern states will tell you, it's not necessarily the amount of rain that they get throughout the year, but it's the timing of their monsoons.
Yep.
It's as soon as the desert starts to turn brown, a big monsoon comes up and we get another green up and another green up and another green up, and those bulls start solid and they end solid. And this year, talking with some of the guys that we work with down there, it sounds like it's a off the charts kind of year.
Amazing, yeah.
So I got high hopes for that one. I think that could be a great hunt.
So we'll go from there. We'll actually go to Star Valley. So Star Valley is just a quality elk hunt. We'll be going there with more of the mindset of trying to kill the biggest that the area can produce.
Yeah. Yep.
So really just looking at maturity in mind there. That'll be our hunt starts late September, basically the September 26th, or almost that fourth week of September. So that's a pretty cool hunt in the sense that they're in the rut and you're getting to hunt them with a gun.
Yeah, there's not too many places in the United States you get to do that. So, and there's been some big bulls killed in that camp. A big, speaking relative of the state of Wyoming and what they can produce in that particular area. But if anything, the experience of that hunt is just unmatched. I mean, you're hunting in the high country, horseback. You're not going to find a more scenic place in the lower 48 to go hunt bugling bulls with a rifle, and heck, while you're at it, hunting a mule deer too at the same time.
It is,
and it's a world-class mule deer location. So
yeah, the mule deer's off the hook there. It's a true Western experience, and like you said, right? Everybody knows kind of the famed Region G.
Yeah,
and our camp sits right in it. So
yep. Yeah, right there, Region G or H, wherever whichever direction you go out of camp, decides what you're hunting. But phenomenal place. It's an addicting place, and everybody that goes there always wants to come back and hunt.
All right, so we go from there. Then we're going to head to New Mexico.
With Jeff Lester.
Yep, Hunt Hard Outfitters, Jeff Lester. And we're going to be hunting 16D in the Gila.
Yeah, big hopes for that one. Southeast hunt, antler growth's looking good. Really excited to hunt with Jeff Lester and his crew. Those guys are top-tier professionals. I think he's one of the best in the industry down there. Really smart guy, works really hard. High hopes, and you and Chris are going to be hunting. So it's going to be a busy hunt. 5 days, right? So
yeah, so that's the only part that's making me nervous, right? The actual season is only 5 days.
Yeah,
it's not like we only have 5 days to go. It's the only 5 days.
That's right. And Jeff is working his butt off scouting right now and running trail cameras and doing everything he can to set us up for success on the hunt. But bottom line is we're going to get on the ground there with both of our cameramen. You've got to kill a bull. I will likely split off with Chris, and Chris has got to get a bull killed too. And we got to pull it all off in a 5-day period, so it's going to be nonstop. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, not accounting also all the logistics of the quartering and the packing, and
because we're going to come straight from Wyoming at the same time. I mean, literally, that's how these hunts work. For those of you that don't get, I mean, that's how tight wound this schedule is.
Yeah.
We're going to leave camp in Wyoming and drive straight down to New Mexico and hunt in the Gila. So
then from there, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the next one is you.
Yeah, I forgot that I had a tag on.
That's right. You're in here.
Yeah, I burned 8 preference points in Oregon. It's kind of, guys ask me all the time, like, I can't believe you're not saving up for one of the, 20-plus point units. But the way I look at it, I think there's some great bulls to be had in the state of Oregon in units that don't maybe take 20 preference points or so. And I'd rather have, 2 or 3 really awesome elk hunts than one down the road.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty blessed to experience all of the big 3 hunts with, I get to get it out of my system hunting with you or a friend or a family member that has a tag. So I'm looking forward to it. I actually get to go over and go scout this weekend for the first time and keep looking into it. I've had my eye on hunting with a rifle for elk for a while. I haven't done it since I was, I think, 13. I killed a bull with a rifle, and I haven't. It's been all archery for me so far since then. So I'm looking forward to it. You never know. This unit, it's just an average trophy potential kind of unit in Oregon. But I think if you get back beyond a lot of other hunters, I think you can kill a good mature bull. So,
well, I like what you're saying because no matter what tag you have in your pocket, good tags and good hunts come and go. But you're never going to kill anything big if you don't go hunting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Sitting at home watching points count on the computer.
I think
put you out
too many guys do that. I apply in 12 or 13 states a year, and every year I just try and set myself up for 2019 is going to be the year I hit Wyoming. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
So that way I'm not sitting with 12 points in Colorado and going, well, heck, there's nothing really that I'm in the no man's land. I'd rather get good quality hunts in, every 3 to 5 years, go to Colorado and hunt, third season bucks or something like that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to take one of the cameramen on that hunt, and then coincidentally at the same time, you're going to have the other one.
Yeah. So I have a little buffer there built in where you'll be grinding. You'll be grinding to get your hunt done, and we will actually be going back to Star Valley because I try to leave that ending at Star Valley for a little buffer just in case we hadn't filled a tag yet.
Yep.
Or we needed to wrap up a television show. Or best case, we're just going to see the final group of clients off and then start helping staff with the logistics of camp teardown.
Yes.
So
that's its own podcast in itself. We'll have to cover.
Yeah, because that area is a clean in, clean out. So
yes.
literally there's nothing there when we start every season, and it's all got to be taken out when we're done.
And it's a logistical masterpiece that several people have their hands in. Chris kind of takes charge on Star Valley, and then you and I help and support where we can. And as far as booking hunters and getting everything there for camp and tearing camp down and, running a fairly good amount of hunters in and out of that camp.
That area is so dang big.
It's an orchestra.
All right. So from there, I believe that it'll go back to – actually, we'll come home, but we'll go back to Wyoming.
Yep.
The next elk hunt will be, again, me in Wyoming on a migratory hunt and working with the guys at Wood River Lodge. And that one, I was really back and forth about that because
we kicked this one around for months, which direction we wanted to go.
A long time. I mean, I had the ability to redeem a voucher for a tag there where you basically just put in the number for what you want, right?
Yeah, you choose your unit and dates, and we're going to go.
And that's it. And, then you got to work with availability of other outfitters and this and that, whatever. But if you get beyond all that, you got to take and break Wyoming down as a whole. Wyoming is probably one of, if not the most hunter opportunistic states.
Yes.
So
they offer a little bit of everything all the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing that made it hard was Wyoming does their tag allocations extremely late in the year. So, we were working with Dennis Lee over at Go Hunt. He really worked his butt off for us, trying to help us out. And,
I ran that poor guy ragged.
Yeah, line us out. And he, he's saying, well, hey, unit XYZ offered this late season hunt last year. Maybe they'll offer it this year, but we won't know till this date, know. So that makes it hard because meanwhile, outfitters are booking up with who they're hunting with. So we kicked around, are we going to go do it on our own in this unit? Or are we going to go do it here? But I feel really good about Wood River. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I spent a pretty good amount of time talking to Pearson over there. And, with having, like, all of the issues you just said, you got to really hone in where those big bulls are going to come out of that state.
Totally.
And typically, no matter what, it seems like other than some areas in the southeast or around the private, which those can be difficult to get on, a lot of guys are looking at something that has to do with elk that still come out of the park.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of guys.
You just can't get away from that conversation.
It's always had. And I think a lot of Oregonians look at Wyoming as more of an opportunity state for, phenomenal over-the-counter archery kind of stuff, low points, and they go have a great hunt. But we, again, part of this elk quest is the next level kind of bull.
Right.
And it's really tough in Wyoming. So we kind of knew from, our experience hunting post-rut bulls, we wanted to, a good recipe for finding big bulls is a lot of bulls all at one time. So we knew we probably wanted to hunt late, and we needed to be in an area that was a natural winter migration pattern or an area that the bulls like to move and migrate to. So
that's right. And
that's why Wind River is kind of a wild card for us.
It is.
You're going to look at a lot of bulls, and you hope, the right kind of bull comes down in that winter area.
The amount of property holdings they have and the location, like you said, is going to put the elk there.
For sure.
So if we can look at enough statistically, eventually you get where you want to go, hopefully.
For sure. And like they said over there, we're going to look at crazy amounts of elk, and this is what we're going to see. But the advantage to be an extended range shooter and shoot really well plays largely into your success. And when we heard those words, we're like, okay, this is our game.
Yep.
This is where we can be successful for sure.
Yep. All right. So then when we wrap up there, again, that hunt will be about, I believe, 6 days, and it will run right to the end of the actual season that I can hunt. So we'll see that one through to the end. And then we literally will be turning and burning. I think I'm going to be dropping the fifth wheel off at a location here in Oregon on my way through to only return, hopefully with a load of taxidermy in the back of my truck, to the RV to start the Oregon hunt again.
Yeah, we'll do it like last year and buy a couple freezers at Walmart and put our capes in there. And
that is a funny story, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's
coming from Colorado, 4-season bear ranch, shot a couple smasher mule deer. And we're like, what are we going to do with these things? And you had a genius idea. You're like, dude, a freezer from Walmart's like $170.
Yeah.
And I had that flatbed trailer with the Polaris. We just strapped that thing down, parked it in its own little spot in the RV park, and plugged it right in.
Plug it right in and run it. I mean, that'll do. And then when you drive home, it'll stay frozen.
That's right. It's just like a big old ice block.
And you're good. So I'll be coming from a hunt in Idaho, a late season mule deer hunt. Then I'm going to be going like a 14, 15-day backpack hunt while you're in Wood River. And then we're going to show up, converse in Northeast Oregon, and we're going to give it a good 2+ week shot with this Oregon auction tag and do our best to get another good bull killed. So
yeah, I would like to say that we have this stroke of genius idea right now that's going to change the entire world, but at the end of the day, I think we're getting smarter, we're getting better, we're getting more proficient. However, it's still needles and haystacks.
Oh, all the time. And anytime you introduce the television show to it, it's just even more, and like we rely so heavily on our cameraman and the TV show producer to have all of their equipment ready, and we're not always the easiest to work with, or maybe I'm pretty nice, but you get a little worked up sometimes.
A little.
We they got to have their SD cards and their batteries and their microphones ready all the time, and we're going from one place to the next, and they're charging their batteries off a generator in a hotel room or whatever it may be. But that's just the way to go in order to get that right amount of episodes and produce quality content. That's just what you have to do.
Yeah, grind it out.
So we'll grind it out real hard in Oregon. It's never a gimme hunt. It's a tough hunt all the time. And what we've kind of learned over the years is you can't rely on anybody besides, this team right here.
That's it.
There's a lot of guys out there that want to act like they know something, or they want to, they think they know something, or they think they want to be a part of this or that or the other. And then you can't rely on anybody but yourself is what we found. So we'll just do our best.
So from there, the floating hunt would be that res hunt again. But let's just assume that it happens in September. If it doesn't, then we know we'll be going to that after Christmas.
Yes. So we'll either kill early, or if we don't, have the hunt we want early, we'll go back after Oregon.
Yep.
And we'll try
to
get
that
done
again.
Yep.
That one could lend itself to getting done early because you can see in that country. We've had this conversation. Well, hell, we had it like it was breakfast yesterday. So I so badly am wanting to hunt Oregon on the opener because of how brutal it was to experience seeing all of the big bulls hit the ground last year.
It's tough, and you struggle with that internally. But if we're hunting in some of these southwestern states, those guys are able to run effective trail cameras because water sources are limited. They can glass more effectively than we can. And bottom line, in the state of Oregon, those bulls are high country typically, but they're in the timber still.
Timbered up.
They're just timbered up, eating that green feed because it's everywhere. We're not limited on water sources, so you can't put a trail camera on a drinker somewhere or something like that. It just that's not the game we live in over here.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And as much as I wanted to be like, well, but what if? It's like statistics says the what ifs are going to suck.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and stay to the plan on the migratory hunt in Oregon late. And then let's look at possibly going and doing the res hunt early and getting a rutting bull or something that's frequenting water, something like that.
For sure. It's always a deliberation of resources and where we've got to focus our efforts or our time or all the employees and where they're going to be at the same time. Because it's it's an orchestra to go, hey guys, we're going to go hunt this hunt right now, pick up your stuff and let's go.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as jumping in the pickup with your girlfriend and driving down the road and going to hunt. You know?
It's changed a little bit.
It's a different ball game.
So, all right. Well, if we get that done, great. If not, we know we've got a 10-day window in January, kind of as trade shows are starting to crank up, but we'll figure that out as we get there. So let's circle back to a little bit of this game. Let's kind of cover this before we go. When you get into this premium tag world, it's still so new to me, and it's probably new to a lot of people. So there's so much preparation that goes into it, but then there's like a positive and a negative to the whole thing, because there's so much involvement from so many people that come into play that you don't even intend on. Somebody picked up a shed, or so-and-so seen an elk over here, or I caught a glimpse of, or whatever the makings of the story are. But there is so much to just decipher through. You got to like wade through this pond of crap to figure out what's real, what's not, and how are we going to do this?
Oh, it's like mind-boggling, and I've lived in that world for a pretty considerable amount of time now, and it's just the scary thing about it is that you can get a phone call, and it can be a friend or a mutual friend or whatever, and he goes, oh gosh, Bob, I just saw the biggest bull of my life. Well, the biggest bull of that guy's life may be a totally different thing than the biggest bull of my life, you know. But there's always that freaky chance that he did see something that I need to follow up on and go look at. So here you are chasing your tail around.
Yep.
Meanwhile, there's a lot of guys out there that just want to be involved, and a big shed horn gets picked up in this unit. Well, does the bull even live in that unit, or did he just shed in that unit, or were the sheds really as big as they were supposed to be, or who's telling the truth, who's not? So it can play a huge mental toll on a guy if you really try and do it. But over the years, I've kind of learned to decipher who are the authentic people, who's very few out there, who's just smoke and mirrors and trying to be somebody that they're not, and who's truly out there looking and spending the time. Who has the track record of producing a bull like that, or knowing, if I get a call from Brad and Brad says, dude, I just saw this bull and he's 370. I know he's seen a 370 bull on the hoof and walked up to it dead on the ground and authentically knows what that kind of bull is.
Right.
Versus just throwing a number at a bull standing on a hill that may be the biggest bull he's ever seen in his life. So it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight all the time.
It is, because it's almost relatable to like that horrible bugle you hear, and you look at your buddy and you're like,
no way,
dude, we're not going to chase that.
No way,
that's
a bull. Yeah.
Right. And then you just go on about your way, but then you look over. I mean, I've literally done this, right? You go on about your way and you get hiking the trail the opposite way because you're like, there's no way we're going to go chase that bugle.
Yeah.
And then you look back over your shoulder, and in a small opening on the hillside over there is a bull elk standing there.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So it can happen.
I could tell you story after story of the times I've been fooled with, heck, the biggest bighorn sheep I ever saw in my life. Some hippie rafter told me about that they were hiking, and he goes, I just saw this ram. I swear he curled a time and a half around. And you hear those little cues, and you're like, really? Like a time and a half? That's probably something I should like go look at, and follow up on that at least and see if it's authentic or not. And coincidentally, that time it did. So that, that 1 out of 100 can turn out to be an absolute giant. You know, and it's natural human nature. I think people want to identify with others. They want to be a part. They want to, they want to take place in what we're doing because that's really, really cool. It's really fun. Yeah. So if just like I started, if I could be involved and be of any help, I was definitely going to do all I could to do it. So you can't blame those people.
I got to be honest though, because when my phone goes silent for like, let's just say 2 days, and I haven't gotten any information, I'm just such a little whore. I'm like, hey, wait, now I'll start dialing people.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why am I not hearing anything?
Yeah.
You get addicted to it, even though 98% of the time you're going at it like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. But you keep doing it because, like you said, that one time, that might be the only time.
And totally. And what you and I have done is we converse so often about what we're hearing, what you're seeing, and this and that or the other is, hey, I saw this big giant bull on X Ridge. And then we kind of put that back in the memory bank a little bit. And then 3 months later, a whole totally different person, unrelated, sees a bull in the exact same spot. And then that kind of sets off a radar to us like, okay, hey, that might actually, two different people that don't know each other said they saw something in this location. That's something I should probably follow up on and see, and more often than not, that has worked out to be something for us, and, but like we found out last year, I mean, we followed up on leads. We did this and that. We hunted hard. At the end of the year, we found the bull that we wanted to kill, and we killed him. So that's just the way it happened to work out that year, but every hunt's a different experience. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll just do it.
All right. Well, I hope everybody kind of gets excited as we are about this season. It's definitely stacked. It's a logistical nightmare, and the technical side of it has got to be flawless execution.
Yeah. But what this podcast is going to allow us to do is really keep all the viewers and all the people that want to follow what we're doing in on what's going on. So we can do a hunt recap at the end of the hunt and let you know what happened and what our failures were, what our successes were, and what happened, because outdoor TV, as you alluded to, is typically 9 to 12 months behind. So
very staggered.
Just like your Oregon hunt last year, it's going to air the week of September 11th. So everybody's been asking, hey, when can I see that hunt? When can I see that hunt? Well, now we can keep everybody tuned in what's going on, and then that hunt will come out, 9 to 12 months later. You can see it on television show, and then we'll upload it onto our media outlets, so guys can watch it anytime after that.
Yeah, so that goes to say I don't know my schedule completely, but if we release the podcast sooner than that, just know the hunt is coming.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
They should time out fairly well.
Yeah, so that way good. Everybody's in the know of what's going on, and they can follow along with us, and I think it'll be a bit better for everybody. So. All
right, well, I think we're signing off here. We'll come back next, hopefully with some post-hunt. I will leave the teaser on the table that if this year is a success, I already can feel it in my bones that I'm going to switch back and go to mule deer and try to pull off, a whole sequel to this.
Absolutely epic mule deer year.
Yeah.
So they're cool. They're two totally different things. So it's really fun to do both, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of one or the other.
No. Okay, man. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me.